AI agents connecting to your SaaS app. It's a massive growth opportunity you can't miss. But there's a problem. You've built a product for human users, and AI doesn't always act human. But don't stress. Frontegg makes it easy and safe to open up your product to custom agents and Gen AI platforms like Gemini and ChatGPT. First, connect. Just add your API spec and choose which tools you want to expose to agents. Frontegg will create a hosted MCP server for you. Drop your new MCP URL into a Gen AI platform. Look at that! You're listed. Now a user can interact with your product using the AI interfaces they already love. Next, you need enterprise-grade security. For example, to pay invoices in a billing app, you might want a lower limit for agents. Use Frontegg to set fine-grained guardrails. When the limit is hit, Frontegg can ask for additional authentication or invite a human into the loop for approval. Finally, observe the impact. Track how many customers are using your AI tools and how often activities were blocked or flagged. It shows that your policies matter. Frontegg gives you the fastest way to join the AI revolution. Enterprise grade, no code, and the agentic interface your users already love. With Frontegg, your SaaS product is ready for AI. So open it up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. And we're here on day 2 of AgentLink launch by Frontegg. Super excited to have you here, and we're going to have more guests here. We're going to talk about fun stuff and important stuff, right? So yesterday it was more about the fun, about connecting, about making requests from your AI platforms. And today is going to be on basically how we can pull that off while still keeping it safe and tight and guardrailed because the AI revolution is happening so fast. And what we hear a lot from companies is the question of, yeah, it's cool, but how can I trust it? So we're going to talk a lot about trust and about how AgentLink can help make it happen safely and securely. So let's start, and I will go quickly, even faster than yesterday, through the a bit of the info, general info about AgentLink. So as I said yesterday, we're exist for the last 6 years with plenty of customers, and just as I told you yesterday, the last 6 years were all about securing the access for leading SaaS applications, and we have controls for securing web interfaces, mobile applications, definitely APIs. There's a full section within the Frontegg product for securing API endpoints. And lately, we've been focused a lot around enabling real security for this new interface that companies are presenting around enabling AI agents to access their SaaS products. And we saw one example of that yesterday. Just as I explained, I'll go quickly through that. We had this evolution happening throughout the last 30 years on how products are being used, going all the way from terminals to installable software to cloud to mobile, APIs that became a standard in the last decade. And what is happening now is that we start to see a shift, and your apps are being used by your customers through AI agents, and we already start to see that AI platforms, the leading AI platforms, add capabilities to connect SaaS applications. So if you think about it, just like at home, you're connecting and performing most of your activities today through ChatGPT, through Claude, through Gemini, whatever it is we're using, the same will happen in the workforce, and we will see that your IT guy, your admin, security folks will include all of the applications already within the chosen AI platform. And you will enter this AI platform, you will start to basically do your job using the data that is already connected to your AI platform within your workspace. So that's a whole different way of thinking about SaaS usage. And we start to see that it's already happening. So as I showed yesterday, I'm going to show you again soon. Claude and ChatGPT are already in the game. Google added the capability to add any custom MCP connector within the Gemini CLI. Microsoft have the Studio, Copilot Studio, that you can get most of the things already enabled there. So and it's happening so fast, and we'll talk about it in a second with our guests as well. And today we're proud to introduce the safe way to open up your product to AI platforms. So today we're introducing agent identity and access management, and we're introducing AgentLink analytics as well. Step-up authentication, human in the loop controls, data masking, everything that you can think of that your CISO would be worried about as you open your product to AI platforms. This is what we handle in agent identity and access management by Frontegg. And as we will see soon, you can get it, within your existing MCP. Doesn't matter if it was built with some library or you built it just through Cursor, in your development environment, or you're using Frontegg AgentLink connector. You can have all of these guardrailed and data capabilities by connecting whatever it is you have there on your backend, and whatever stack you're using for identity management, for logging, for security, for your SIEM solution, anything. So we will see how that works. A bit of the core principles. So we worked on this product for the last few months. And this is why you're getting this rich tool set and the great experience that we will see soon, and that I presented some of it yesterday. But some of the core principles that we try to kind of enforce here is, first of all, AI adoption is not happening in a blink of an eye. It happened gradually within your ecosystem. And this is what we try to enable. So basically, you can start by exposing your main API or some side API that you have. No problem. AgentLink allows you to do that. So it doesn't have to happen all at once. The second thing is you get the granular authorization and control. So first of all, we enforce the same role-based access control you already have on your existing APIs. But once you really want to get it granular, you can do that without coding. No code is required here, and I will show that in a few minutes. Third thing is, obviously, we need the visibility and auditing, and we also need the capability to kind of export our logs to our SIEM solutions, Splunk, whatever it is we're using. So full visibility over any request that is going through AgentLink, ability to troubleshoot it and really dive into any data that came through the request and returned as a response. Enterprise continuity. So as mentioned yesterday, you can use it if your identity provider is Frontegg, but any OpenID compliant identity provider is accepted. So you don't have to go through this transition, huge migration. And if you find value in it later, you can do the migration to Frontegg IDP, but you don't have to do that. So any IDP is supported here, and you can enjoy all that value. Doesn't matter what IDP you use. And I think that the fourth thing is the data controls. So we hear from a lot of security people that they don't really trust even the big platforms. They're not sure how their data will be used, whether it will be used for training, whether PII will leak. We heard about a few leaks that happened just recently with the Postmark MCP incident and others that we had along the last few months. So it's still in the building. It will take time to stabilize. And this is why we chose to really take it to the next level and help you meet all of the compliance that exists out there for for data privacy, and you can get it out of the box. So we'll see that again in my demo soon. Um, so high level architecture, as mentioned yesterday, we have the clients, in this example, Bank of America, Lululemon, Walmart, that will use their custom agents or their AI platforms to access your application, which is marked on the right side of this diagram. So Frontegg gets in the middle of things as a gateway, and all of the requests will pass through Frontegg as an MCP layer. We analyze the request, the tool execution, and if it's allowed, we pass it to your backend, whatever it is you're using there, whether it's GraphQL, REST APIs, Lambdas, or you basically written your own kind of custom AI tools. It's a sneak peek to what we'll have tomorrow about building new type of backends. But Frontegg basically is there to just monitor, govern, make sure that everything is done according to the rules, to the plans that you had. And then when the API is executed and the response is getting back to the user, we sit there to make sure that nothing that shouldn't go back to the AI platforms doesn't breach that policy and really is being masked or retracted, anything that you set as policies on your configuration. So this is the diagram. Today we're going to extend our existing RBAC on the APIs. We're going to set some policies. We're going to set some data controls and see how all of that is also visible and audited. So this is the plan. But before we start, I want to welcome Nir to... Hey, Nir.
Hey, what's up? It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So Nir is from Rapid. Nir, tell us a bit about yourself, what you've been up to, and I'll ask you some questions after.
Yeah, so it all started a school field trip. I got bitten by a radioactive security spider. You know the story. And then I woke up. I was interested in information security. It all went downhill from there.
Yeah.
Was the head of security in a spyware company called the Nassau Group. Then I joined Rapid as one of the first 50 employees or so. Rapid grew thanks to me. Just kidding, but thanks to many people, it grew.
Thanks to the spider.
Thanks to everybody got bitten by that spider. It grew to about 2,000 people globally. We acquired a bunch of companies. We're moving very, very fast. And today, Rapid, I'm a part of the management. I'm the CIO and the CISO. So I manage all of IT, information systems, and security, obviously, which is my background. So a few other spider bites along the way. And obviously AI, I've heard of it like last week, I think. Last week, I think first time somebody mentioned it on the bus or something. No, just kidding. So AI obviously is a big deal, and it's a game changer, and it's top of mind for the board in the management meetings. Every room you go into, every meeting you attend, there's a shadow of AI, or it's right there, and you talk about it. From the meeting, the meeting summary tools to whatever else you want, to the features of the product, and it's all about enablement, isn't it? So, very excited to be here and talk more about that.
Perfect. And yeah, thanks for that intro. I was about to ask you to tell some non-AI story, and then you went out with with the spider bit, and I'm like,
you did say that to be true, exactly.
So I think that we have that covered, and let's just dive right in, right? Like, there's so many topics that I would love to ask you, but first of all, I think that every CISO has their own way of thinking about AI enablement. Some I've been to rooms, where they kind of said not in the next 2 3 years. So they're just basically saying no. And some are really, really interested and curious to get things in, but are worried. From where you see it, kind of, what do you see the real threat? What really keeps you up at night if your CPO comes tomorrow and says, Nir, it's not a question. We have to get AI in our product.
First off, they do say that, and any CISO who's stopping AI, and even in the military and the governments, and everybody's doing it. That it's a secret sauce. By the way, sometimes it's overhyped. Sometimes it's not as good as people think. But the solution is always, we'll just do it with AI. Because it's so magical. Even if you use that app with your kids to make a video or whatever, make me dance with the Pope. Boom, it's there. You know what I mean? So it just opens up the mind. So I don't really believe there's many organizations that the CISO is totally unaware. What I see a lot from CISOs is the ability to control, and it's happening so fast. And let me quote one of my mentors, the drug dealer from Baltimore called Slim Charles from the show The Wire. And it's one of my favorite scenes. Some other drug guy gets out of jail, and he's like, "Oh, everything changed now. He got out of jail," and he said something like, "The game stayed the same. It just got more fierce." And I remember being in high school watching The Wire, which was a great show. Anybody listening, like,
The
stop.
best show ever. The best
Yeah,
show
and
ever.
stop listening to us and go watch afterwards. Go watch The Wire the second we finished. So I remember, like, wow, and I remember that sentence is like, a defining sentence for me, and I think that's such a good sentence for AI, because we're still talking about APIs. We're still talking about RBAC. We're still talking about what you were talking about. So many things are the same, but it's more fierce. It's more fierce. It's more, and it's faster. You know what I mean? It seems like every other week there's a new announcement. So shadow IT, which used to be like, oh, which SaaS do they go to? Which is already a problem. It's not like, cyber has a shortage. I mean, ransomware is still something not figured out. It's not like, oh, we solved it all. Let's wait around for the next thing. Nothing is really solved, and now it's just going so fast. So I think there's a speed, especially the CIO, where there's budgeting and you want to control, and you want to plan, and you want to make sure that the organization is going the right way, that you don't have inefficiencies because, let's say, people are using Jira and Monday.com or whatever the case is. It's really hard to look at it old school at the fiercer game. You know what I mean? You have to look at it a little differently. And I think it's, I think AI is great. I'm a proponent of AI. I think we'll talk about it later. But the speed, so it doesn't keep me up at night. I have a baby girl, so she keeps me up at night. So AI, move over. But it doesn't keep me up at night. But it is something that's concerning to me. Just the pace of new things that, like, my team didn't even figure out, and there's a new. And again, if you're like, a very controlled, like you're a government office, and nobody has local admin, you don't have devs, and yeah, of course, not, you have to open a ticket to IT to install it or to visit any website, and you have like a VDI, but these organizations are becoming less and less. More organizations already, the cloud happened, especially in a company like Rapid, we're cloud first, global company. And
Are
then
your customers in Rapid, they expect to get, experiences of AI within their products? So those are requests that your team is getting?
Definitely, everybody expects to have AI. Once there's a reason it's in Google search, the first thing you see, because once you experience that kind of massive brain that gives you exactly what you want or close, it's really hard to go back. You know what I mean? It's really, really hard to go back. So that's what it is. Even if they're not aware of it, they're definitely expecting it. And if they're not, even in those who aren't, because how it works with early adopters. Even the tool you're releasing right now, the AgentLink, some CIOs don't know they need it. They don't know. The CTOs, they don't know what they needed because they're not there yet. They're like getting the contract with Anthropic and they're
Yep.
thinking about the best use case. They don't know that they need it, but then they'll get stuck. And then they're like, okay, how do I get past this wall? And then there's a door right there. You know what I mean? And these doors are priceless. And if you plan in advance and you think about what are the principles, and you talked about this earlier, what are the principles that could help me build a door? That will help me visualize, understand, take this in a controlled and managed way. So it lands on Frontegg many times.
So a lot of you're saying that it's hidden from security, and we don't need to specifically talk about AI to discuss this tension between engineering and security. I worked in several organizations, from very small ones to big ones, and engineering wants to move fast, and they also want to use all the latest and greatest, all the fun names, all the fun frameworks. They just go ahead and PM install whatever, right? And voila, somehow it gets to production, and they're not really thinking all the time that about the security concerns. It's not like they don't care. It's about moving fast and getting the task done, right? And a lot of times what we see is that the once it gets to the security people, once it gets to the CISO, it could be already too late, or at least you have to handle a situation now. um, and that happened before AI, and I'm sure that it happens now. So today you go ahead and install some kind of MCP, which I think that today is even easier, right? You go to Cursor, you say build me an MCP, and basically it goes out and builds an MCP.
Or you just go on GitHub and download something. Just
Yeah, or you download something from GitHub,
yeah.
and everything is overhyped, and retroactively you kind of hear about that. How do you kind of suggest to solve that tension so that Rapid won't find themselves, with a MCP that is exposed to incident, just like the ones that we heard over the last few weeks?
Yeah, so I don't try to solve anything because I would go insane. I probably already went insane. Let's judge at the end of the of our chat now, but you can't solve it. You can minimize it. You can try to manage the risk, but you'll never solve anything. By the way, I always tell my team, we don't want to solve cyber. We just want to not get hit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's good for
Yeah.
us. It's good for us if there's like cyber attacks and bad guys. That's why they pay us. Imagine that would all go away. They'd fire our asses so fast. Uh, but, uh, but yeah, definitely, it's something that we see. And there's also I always notice with developers, and there's always a kind of they want to use it, but they don't want you to know about it because what happens is like let's say a developer downloads Cursor and pays for it out of pocket. He is killing it. He's like pushing more
Yep.
code than anybody. He's getting like a bonus, and they're sending him to like a reInvent or whatever. And then his boss finds out. It's like, oh, and then he gives it to the team, and it's an equalizer. So you see it a lot, and this is it's a known issue with open source. You see it with Chef, with Puppet, a lot of like kind of open source tools that didn't convert well. It's because developers and DevOps and a lot of these people using them didn't want to raise it. So that's an inherent problem. Developers are curious people. They want to use the latest technology. We want them to be curious and use the latest technology, but then they don't want to ask for permission. They just want to do it.
Yep.
And again, and now we're talking AI speed. Everything is fast. The code is pushed out faster. You don't even know where it's coming from. Every IDE has like an extension, and even if you don't use Cursor, and so the first step is to acknowledge the problem. To acknowledge the problem, not to be an ostrich, not to say, listen, it's not my problem. I just manage
Yep.
cyber risk. If the company wants to sabotage itself, let the CTO do it. That's a very uncollaborative approach.
Right.
And I've seen CISOs like that. I've seen CISOs. I was talking to a CISO, and I told him, and I said, like, he was telling me like that he doesn't do this, and then I'm like, aren't you afraid? Like, aren't you? He's like, listen, I'm like, we're one team. big company, like 10,000 people, or relatively big compared to most companies. And he said, if the company wants to suck, it's their right to suck. And I said, like, oh my god, like that's and really he's not focused. So you need to be aware of the problem, and you need to be collaborative. Your goal is for the company to provide value to shareholders, to customers, to grow profit, so then you can make more. It's very simple. That's the mindset, I think, especially executives need to have, especially people in management need to have. So you're doing a disservice by not trying to be a guardrail, but rather, or a
Right.
break, and rather being or bring a roadblock. So the saying in cyber, and this is cliche, I'm sure many people heard this already, is that the brakes let the car go faster, right? Because without a brake, you need to go really slow, because you can't brake when something happens. So if cybersecurity teams become brakes, they allow the company to go fast because they know cyber's got it. So that should be the mentality. And if you look at successful companies with successful cyber team, like Netflix, like Google, that's a mentality. They're like, okay, here, this is the guardrails, and then I'll break you when I need to, and now go as fast as you can.
Exactly. Setting up the guardrails. I completely agree, and that's if we keep everything open, and we will be stopped. When we speed too high and just break into a wall, then what have we done here, right? So we want to enable the movement, but by setting all those kind of predefined rules of what we allow, what we don't allow.
There's
Completely
also a
agree.
philosophical
Mhm.
there's also a philosophical point to any CISO. The AI revolution is happening. Cars are driving here. You're riding a horse. Get in a car, get in a Tesla. It's a nice car. Take a little joyride. You're gonna enjoy it. Like embrace it. It's gonna happen whether you like it or you don't like it. That's just, you can tell. There's things you can tell. The first time I saw an iPhone, I'm 75 years old, for anybody listening, not watching. Just kidding. But I'm old enough to remember, not iPhones not being a thing. And then you're like, oh, wait a second. It's like just glass, and it sucked. If you remember, the first iPhone was a horrible thing. It was like big and bulky, but you saw it and you're like, oh, okay, this is the future. And you got it. And today you can't even imagine like the old school phones. They're just that's the only way to phone. So when you look at AI, and you ask him, like, hey, write me a nice email to my boss, and you're like, oh my God, I'm like a genius writer right now. And you're like, okay, this is the future, so embrace it, enjoy it, be lead the charge, be brave, rather than sit around, sulk, victimize yourself. Oh, there's changes. Yeah, that's part of the fun. That's really part of the fun.
I have a nice quote from The Wire for you later about that.
Yeah,
So
I can't wait.
Nir, you played around quite a lot with AgentLink, but I want your opinion. But I want it soon. Let's first show the audience what it is that we're talking about, and get back to you to get some of your kind of thoughts about it. Know that you have some interesting insights. So I will share my screen again. We're going for a live demo here, so hopefully everything works. But if not, that's fine. And yesterday we showed you how we take an application and basically turn it into an AI-powered interface that could be accessed through ChatGPT, through Claude, in a matter of minutes. So actually, we did it live yesterday. People told me, like, do a video. It didn't work for Mark. It didn't work for Elon. But I said, it's gonna work for Sagi. So yesterday, the gods of demos were good to me, and we actually performed a live integration of an expense management application, and we opened it up to ChatGPT, to Claude, by opening it up, opening the APIs, creating some tools from the APIs. We had some calls that were made through Claude, through ChatGPT, and that's super cool. And I'm going back to Claude, and let's just add maybe add an expense for a billboard for 100K, right, from last month. So I'm adding this type of expense, and so Claude is basically trying to find the right tool. We already connected the tools of the expense app to Claude. So let's see. It works on the request, and right now I just want to show you that while it does that besides defining the tools, so we see here the tools that we defined. We see configuration that was made with the MCP gateway up and running, connecting it to the IDP, which in this case it was Auth0. Just want to remind everybody. But we have no enforcement basically. So any tool creation is allowed, and the request to add 100K billboard expense should basically go through, because there's no guardrails, there's no anything. So that should work. We can also see the kind of the request details here. And let's see, it's taking Claude some time to call the request. Let's see that indeed it's working out. If not, then I'm going to ask it to do it again. Or we're going to use ChatGPT. Okay, So Claude was got scared from the feeling of using ChatGPT. So basically, it worked. I added 100K billboard expense, and if we go to the UI of our application, we basically see this expense. Now, obviously, we want to set some type of guardrails and policies to protect these kind of things, when things that are too sensitive, or their value is too high. We want to block these kind of things. So what we will do is we will use the access control capability of AgentLink, and let's try to add some policy. So at first, what we want to do is let's ask to block anything that is above 50,000. Okay, so create a policy to block any expense with amount greater than 50K. And we'll give it a tool. So we only want to enforce it right now for the create a new expense tool that we had. We don't have to be so specific, but in this case, I want to be specific. So let's ask it to create the rule. We're using the AI assistant, which we worked really hard to train, kind of to accept all of these requests. As you can see, it validates. It wants to create a conditional policy to block any request for this tool and deny anything with the amount larger than 50K. Yes, I will confirm, and it will go ahead and create this access policy. So let's see that it actually does that. Okay, perfect. So it created the policy. We don't need to go ahead. Nir will talk about it in a second, but we would try to enable fast kind of rule-based creation and not go ahead and create those rules manually. But you can also do that manually, and that's it. We have a policy, right? So now, if I go back and let's basically just copy that and create something for 60,000. for 101 billboard. Okay, so we're asking now Claude to create an expense for 60K, and we expect the policy to be enforced, and that's exactly what we see here. So it looks like the expense requires administrator approval due to organizational policy. Basically, we have that blocked, and if we go back to Frontegg on the monitoring, we can see that the execution was indeed blocked by policy. So we haven't been able to add that, which is cool. But now we want to, make things even more interesting. So, let's not block it, but one of the things that is happening, and this is super interesting, and Nir probably already observed it, is that once my account is connected to Claude, to ChatGPT, and let's say that somebody compromises my Claude account, basically it can continue and perform all of the activities that I was assigned to do through the connector, through the initial login. That means that if my ChatGPT or Claude account gets compromised and I'm connected to tools within the expense application, for example, then an attacker can, go ahead and theoretically perform actions without basically proving that they are me, right? Just because they compromise this operating system account. So what we want to do is we want to add another policy that let's create a policy for to step up any expense creation above 20K, again for the create a new expense tool. Okay, so basically what we're saying now is that don't block, right? If it's above 50K, you just block it. I don't want to allow my AI platforms to perform such big expenses. But if it's above 20K, let's step up the request. So stepping up the request basically means that we want to validate that the user is indeed who they claim they are. We're not trusting the AI platform to perform the actions just because the connection was made maybe a week or 2 weeks ago. We want to make sure that this is validated. So we added this policy to step up the expenses above 20,000, and now let's see what is happening. So now I will go and let's create add an expense for an offsite management event for 33K from last week. So this shouldn't be blocked, right? Because it's under 60K, but it does fall under the above 20 policy that we added. And what will happen now is that the expense has been submitted. It wasn't blocked, but additional verification is required for this expense. You should receive a notification via email or SMS, whatever it is that you set up. So if I actually go to my email, I can see that I received this verification to my email that asks me to go and validate. So this way we basically get a step up, and I have to control the email. I have to prove that I am who I claim to be, and not an attacker that got control somehow over my AI platform, or my kid who plays on my AI platform somehow, and just made this request or repeated something or something like that. So now I actually went ahead and approved it, and now after it has been approved, let's see that indeed it get refreshed. Okay, so now we see the offsite management event in the expense application. We can see it here, but the previous event, the big one for the 101 billboard for 60K, what was it? Is not here. Okay, so we see 60K was blocked, and we see the 33K is actually here. Perfect. So this is the second option. So now we either blocked it or we validate it. But let's maybe make things even more interesting. So how about, I'm making some request, maybe in the middle between the I can approve it and it's being blocked, and I want somebody else, like a super admin, to approve the request. So I will create an approval flow. Let's delete this one just to start from scratch. I'm going to create an approval flow. So approve via SMS to super admin. And let's do SMS right now. I will just show you my phone. Hopefully you will see it and it works. Okay, and we see here that the flow will include, we can add how many approvers we want. But in this case, I'll just put my number. Okay, we can add more approvals. We can define what are the roles that the approval should have. But in this case, we'll just ask for an approval of our super admin through SMS. Let's assume that this is the phone number of Nir, our CISO, and they have to approve some kind of request. So it's not blocked, and we can set up some settings here. We can send reminders after 60 minutes. We can notify the requester on the decision, auto approve some of the requests. Right now, we'll just go ahead, set a reminder, and ask to get the decision sent out to the requester. And now let's create a new policy. Let's do it here, and approve via SMS anything above 40K. Okay, so sorry, not in the right place here. See, that's what happens when you're back to point and click and not using AI. But this one I want to add manually. So approve via super admin SMS anything above 40K. Okay, so I'll set up the amount to be greater than 40,000. So that would be anything between 40 and 60K. And I will request for approval. Let's do it only for the create new expense tool. We can pick update as well, but for now we'll just use the create new expense. And this should ask for an SMS approval from the super admin. Great. So I have that enabled, and now we'll go ahead and let's add plans for a new office for 50K. Okay, so this rule should fall between the 40 and the 60 and ask for SMS approval. So let's see what is happening. It tries to use the tool. And okay, this one is submitted for approval. The approval team is being notified, and once they approve, the 50K expense should happen. Let's see if indeed it sent something to my phone. Yeah, so I got this. Hopefully that you can see it, but I got an approval request on my phone. Let's assume that this is the super admin that got it, and I will just open it up, and I can approve via my phone. And once approved, the approval is completed, we should go ahead and see it. Let's actually ask it for get all my expenses. So this should go to the application, and we should actually see this office as this office expenses, one of the expenses. Some error. Let's try again. So it will call the list of all expenses tool, and here are the expenses, and we see the new office expense that was added. So we see the 50K expense here. Perfect. So this was done. Great stuff. We have a set of policies that we can define, and we can do that on anything. So we can say, block things only from the United States, or block things only that come from ChatGPT, or only through that model, or anything as granular as you want. We can control everything. Before we move to the next step of the demo, we have some question from the audience, I see. So okay, so the question is, can you add more than one approver? So definitely, we can go ahead and define approval flows. If we edit this one, we can have as many approvers that we want here. So no problem. Anything that you want. So one of them could be through phones. The others could be through emails. We can set up also approvals from different roles that they should have. So definitely an option. Okay, so now we have those guardrail policies set up, so you can control the type of requests that are available on your enterprise-grade MCP through AgentLink. But now I want to address another issue, and I'm sure that Nir will also vouch for that. So remember, it's a lot of questions for Nir after we finish. But what I want to do now is not only control the level of whether I'm allowing some actions, or I'm blocking them, or asking for approvals. I actually want some data protection control. So we want to make sure, for example, that no emails are coming back from the request. So let's create a data protection policy to retract emails from users, let's say from users within the US. Okay, so any user that will try to ask for some information from United States, the email is basically going to be, any email on the response is going to be retracted. So we can use that for GDPR or for other things. And again, we can see here that the policy was created. Let's pick. I haven't specified the tool, so let's just use the list all expense and get expense by ID tool, which should be the relevant tools for this kind of guardrail. So let's go ahead and add a new expense for $500 for a PPC campaign. And in the description, add marketing at frontegg.com as budget owner. And this one is from a week ago. Okay, so now I'm adding marketing at frontegg.com on the description, just to describe that marketing is owning the budget for this one. So we'll go ahead and create an expense. The creation itself should go ahead without any problems, right? It meets all the policies. Perfect. It's added. And now let's maybe open up a new chat and ask get all the expenses. So I'm from, taking this request from Mountain View, California. I'm a US user asking for all of the expenses, and I shouldn't see any emails now. So let's see what is happening here. Here are the expenses, and we see that the email address was indeed redacted here from the request, right? So the budget owner, we see that there is nothing here, right? And also on the request, we see no emails. And let's ask it again, get me the email address of the PPC campaign budget owner. So we'll try to fool it, and let's see what is happening. So Claude will try to get me the email address. It tries to think what it can do, but it says that the email address is redacted, so no email address. So we can define policies on data protection as well. Now, I created a policy which is very, very specific, but if we create data policies and we go here to the data types to protect, you can see here that I can just pick all of the PHIs. So any protected health information, any PII. So we try to take a regulation-based approach here. You can pick any data item that is included within any regulation, but you can also say, I want to just, be compliant to GDPR or to the EU Act for AI or anything, and Frontegg agent identity and access management controls basically make sure that no data that wasn't supposed to go out will go out. And here I want to welcome Nir back because we presented a lot of topics here that have to do with compliance, with security, and I want to ask Nir to give me some, some of his kind of views on that. So let's get Nir, please, back to the stage. Nir, so
Hey,
yeah, hopefully you've been following. It's a lot to take, right?
yeah,
But
it's crazy. We were talking about speed and velocity of change, and look at that system. Like getting, this is a platform. You know what I mean? This is like you're launching a new product. We're used to companies like Palo Alto launching like products that are like one screen. So it looks amazing. I've touched it. I've tried a lot of it. We're using a lot of it, but there's so much more that you're showing that it's and just one more point. Somebody in the audience asked another question, like regarding how to set up the first rules to spot like weird behavior. Yeah, Kate. So okay, my advice to you again. I'm not a sales engineer, but my advice to you is to focus on understanding what is good. What we try to do is using Frontegg, understand what is the intention of an agent or an integration, what we're trying to do, and once you clearly define what the good is, you can start like the baseline. You can start looking at like over or under baseline, start thinking like, okay, threshold, etc., etc. So define what's good, and then look at what's under or over that threshold that you define. That's like the basic way to start looking for that stuff. And the more you're focused on what's good, and again, a system like Frontegg is perfect for that, because you build you define the role, you define the permission, you define so many things. There's a baseline, and then once you start moving away and shifting, you can catch that quickly. So with the right system and the right mindset, it's pretty simple.
Awesome, great answer. And I want to welcome, I think it's a great opportunity to welcome Aviad as well to the stage. Aviad, my co-founder and the CTO of the company, and he's uh, let's welcome him. Aviad, welcome. So Aviad is the
Hey,
the security mindset behind agent identity and access management. And Aviad, you've been preaching that to organizations over the last few months. Last week you spoke on AWS conference together with the folks from AWS about the importance of those guardrails and security once you're embracing AI. Um, I would love to, welcome you to the conversation. We're talking here about trust, right? Because it's a new thing, and once when we protect users with our customer identity solution for web and for APIs and mobile, we're basically saying, we want to protect against hackers, against bad guys, right? But here it's not only that. So a lot of the things that we hear, and Nir, maybe you can relate to that, is around not trusting yet the AI platforms, not wanting some of our data to be used for training and stuff like that. And these are some of the things that we're trying to protect here. Aviad, maybe a few words, and then we'll let Nir take his, give his own kind of perspective on that.
yeah, so the lack of trust from one hand, AI, does mistakes. And we all know that, right? I've been asking for recipes for my keto diet, and it throws sugar at me sometimes. But other than that, because of the interface change, one of the examples I gave this week on that conference is that, I'm a coder by heart. I've been doing it for the last 25 years. And GitHub, in GitHub, there is, in order to delete a repository in GitHub, you have to go through 4 or 5 or even 6 clicks. Okay, so they ask you, are you sure? And then you have, there's another, are you sure? And then you have to check a box, and then you have to type the repository name, and then it goes to step up, and then on, the repository is being deleted. But if you take a look at the API of delete repository in GitHub, it asks for nothing. So you just delete the repository. So the magnitude of failure in this case is like huge. You have the replit database deletion with AI, deleted 3 years of production database for a customer, with no way of restoring it. The interface is changing.
MCP interceptors, right? Like we heard even Anthropic's MCP interceptors recently, and the new browsers, everything is going to go through MCPs. It's so, it's
totally. So I totally relate to what Nick said. So we don't want to be the blockers. We want to be the enablers of our companies. And we want to make sure that the company adapts, because company that doesn't adapt to the new technology will probably die sooner than later. But we want to make sure that when they adapt, when our employees adapt, when we expose our products to our customers, we do it safely. So because, eventually as a builder, if I'm opening up an API and, my customer connects it to AI and the entire database is being deleted, it's not their fault. It's my fault. I should have provided them with the guardrails and with the option to connect it safely. And this is what I'm trying kind of to bring into my conversations with people within the industry, that you want to be an enabler, but you want to do it safely.
Nir, some of your thoughts over data protection.
I don't think there's. I don't. Maybe it's just my viewpoint of the world. I don't see it like as a fear thing. It's not scary. I think MCP is the opposite of scary. It's what you need. It's what you. It's just like it's a framework that lets you build controls over your AI interfacing. And that's what's so needed. It's like, and then you can build gateways. MCPs are the APIs of AI, right? And once you have APIs, you can build API gateways. Once you have SAML and OAuth, you can take Frontegg and take away all your headaches in authentication in a second. But before you had that, you'd have to. The only way to write an app, you were doing that for 25 years, Aviad, you know that. You had to write your own stupid custom like a kind of database for users and user schemes and all that stuff, and then you'd mess up because it's not what you're meant to do. You're not in the Active Directory business, or most people aren't. I mean, you actually are. And then you're a subpar product. Most companies are not in the MCP business. They're in their business. They're in the fintech, like I'm in the fintech business. They're in the whatever the consumer business, doesn't matter. And then they have to adopt MCP in a scalable enterprise grade level. And if they do it correctly, they're going to win. And if they don't, they might get breached. But just like anything with competition, a lot of people are not going to watch this webinar, and they're going to do it bad and good. Great, because that means companies like Rapid that partner with companies like Frontegg and just take all that problem away, because it's all presented to you. Companies like that are going to win. They're going to win because they're just going to be able to move all that faster. So for me, it's not scary. It's exciting. Just like going on a road trip is exciting if you have a good car with a seatbelt and proper brakes. Then you can go on the Autobahn. Have you ever gone on the Autobahn in Germany or in Austria? That's so much fun. You go super fast, and you're like, okay, yeah, I could get crashed, but like I got a good car, or hopefully you sprung for a good car. So get good cars. Go down the Autobahn. What the hell are you doing in front of the computer, guys? Go live a little bit. What are we doing here? And watch The Wire, right? That's the most important takeaway.
Exactly. So Nir, I want you to stay with us, and just like yesterday, I asked Aviad to join, not just for the lovely flowers and his amazing tattoo, which is really amazing. You should get, that deserves its own episode of
its own webinar,
its own webinar, yeah. So, but we'll get to that.
We can. We'll do a live demo on this as well. So.
We will do it. I promise. We will get to it. But
what bet did you lose, Aviad, to get it?
Oh no!
Let's keep it for the show. Keep it for the show, guys. Actually, I would love Nir also to still stay with us, and we'll talk to him in a second. Aviad, let's go through some of the items, kind of to give the audience a view on how we look at the security aspect. There's so many things here that already our first users of AgentLink ask and worried about. So first of all, tenant level policies, multi-tenancy, the big advantage of Frontegg customer identity platform, how we take it to AI as well.
Yeah, so we Frontegg is known for its advanced B2B customization. So what you just showed, which is the team has really worked on this really hard, is the foundation of being able to define guardrails for each tool or for each, I would say, AI interface, and to define approval flows, etc. And the way that we kind of launched it was on the level of the application builder. So the application builder can define it. One of the main, differentiations for Frontegg is to being able to bring all of this good to the organizational level. So each of the Frontegg customers will actually be able to say, I don't want to deal, Frontegg customers are dealing with, big organization, huge enterprise, Fortune 50, and with that, it might be another PLG, startup. And each of the customers will have different, security requirements. And this is why we build these policies to be able to be, for our customers to delegate. So real soon, each of our customers will be able to tell their customers, the organization that are using their products, just define these policies through Claude, through ChatGPT, as you just did on the Frontegg platform from this chat bot on the left side.
Yeah, we're talking about delegated administration. One of the advantages of using Frontegg customer identity, our well-adopted product, is that the end users could basically do anything on their own, and AI is no different, right? If I'm logging in and I'm an admin, I want to be able through chat to add another user, to set up the same policies, but not within the portal. If I'm allowed to do it, why not let me do it my own
Totally.
workspace, on my own tenant. So that would be amazing. That's
on the
super
tenant,
exciting.
I will just say that it goes way beyond the tenant, because the real power of tenant level policies is the granularity around it and the ABAC. You have a tenant or organization, but you might want to be able to define policies for a specific department or a specific team within this organization, and that's something that is totally available with this granularity.
Perfect. Talk to me about Agent Profiler.
Yeah, so one thing is that we discovered, we are collecting tons of data from our design partners, that are using extensively, and what we are working on is a very powerful engine to be able to kind of, you don't want to define these policies, based on pure definitions of what is a risk level. What we are building is an ML-powered behavioral engine that will be able to define when an agent behaves, abnormally, and that will raise the risk level, and then our customers will be able to kick off policies. We want to kind of balance make sure that there is a balance between user experience and not, having to step up each and every time. But if we trust the agent to give him more granularity and more, grace, but if the agent behaves abnormally, we are going to collect a profile of an agent. Each agent that connects might be a ChatGPT, which we trust more, but it might be,
A custom agent or
custom agent that is trying to harm, our customers, and this is where we step forward and we say, okay, we're gonna block that based on the profiling of this agent.
That's great.
Which
Leveraging.
It leads to the next point, which is if I'm not mistaken, the credit score.
Yeah.
Which is, zero trust agents. It's funny to talk about zero trust again, but it is zero trust agent. We give no benefit of a doubt for any agent, and we keep learning how agents behave. And an agent is not an interface, right? You can connect and try to impersonate ChatGPT, and we know how to detect it as well. And then we can trigger automatic verification for this kind of agent based on the credit score. So, as you know, Sagi, you moved to the state like 3 years ago, was it?
Yep.
In order to buy a car, you had to earn your credit. Agents will have to earn their credit with Frontegg as well.
And we have some very interesting technology behind that. We won't get into details here, obviously, but very interesting on how this is done. It's not straightforward. There's new approaches there, combination of LLMs and other stuff. So, wow, super excited to see that coming soon. And let's talk about the automated context-based policy, right? Understanding actually what is happening behind the scenes, right, for the user, and then deciding what to do.
Yeah, I think one of the the inputs that we got from security folks like Nir is that they want to complete, they want to buy a system and never touch it. Okay, they want to act with this system as another layer in their security stack, and that's pretty much it. So we are working on a very advanced context-based policy that is leveraging everything we just talked about on the agent profiling and the credit score, but being able to determine a risk of an action, a risk of a tool call based on the context of the action, the time, the location, and the risk score of the user and the risk score of the agent. So if you think about it, we are going into a complete automated policies. So you don't need to define anything. Okay, the system will define stuff for you and will act. We'll move forward with security and we'll move backward for users and agents that it trusts. So So yeah, that's the end vision for this, entire analytics and IAM for agents.
Aviad, we understood pretty quickly that we should be the ones to enable this interface as well, right? And along the years, the 6 years, the team has built 12, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, proprietary security
Correct.
engines for protecting web interfaces, APIs, mobile. Um, how many of those could be actually used, for protecting this new AI interface?
So I think we are leveraging a lot of the technology that we used and for this login operations and refresh operations. But you kind of need to bear in mind that a different training is kind of needed because an agent, we don't meet an agent only with a login, so we meet an agent on continuous operations. Uh, and what we are detecting now is we even have a case of trying to identify when an agent on a multi-agent orchestration layer, agents are sharing tokens between themselves. So these are stuff that we're really trying to leverage the technology that we already built, but just apply it on agents.
That's perfect. Aviad, thank you so much. It's so exciting. And let's maybe have Nir back with us. Nir, there's another. I promised you another quote that I really like, and it's also with the game. There's a lot of talk in the wire about the game, right? And one of the quotes that I love is that it's the game is rigged, but you cannot lose if you don't play. So and that's not your approach. You're here for playing, right? You're saying basically you have to
cannot
play.
You have to play. You have to play. And by the way, you can't lose if you keep playing, because unlike drug dealers, thankfully, I think most of the people here are not. And if you are, I respect that. But assuming most of us are not drug dealers, this is what's called an infinite game. And as long as we keep playing, then we win every time we keep playing. That's the goal. The goal is just to stay in the game and to make gains as you stay in the game. Just to keep going every day, again and again and again. Uh, and you need partnerships to do that. You can't do that on your own. There was a question in the audience, if I may, about things CIOs aren't aware of. The thing is, we take a lot of things for granted. For instance, today APIs are so prevalent, and it's like, oh, well, it has an API. It has an API. And we take it granted, even good APIs, even though a lot of APIs still suck. But I remember back in the day, there weren't an API, and like everything was closed, and you just couldn't connect to that. And you couldn't. And if you wanted to even make something in Windows, you would have to be what's known as a Windows internals expert. Remember that? Remember, like, oh, he's a Windows internals expert. Today, nobody speaks like that because Windows has an API, and everything publishes an endpoint where you can connect to. And so today CIOs take that for granted, but then they look at AI and they don't understand that it's not like that. So then a CTO or a board or a management team would come to the CIO, CTO, whatever, and say, integrate. We want to be AI, and they don't know what they want. They just see what's happening. They want to use it. They know their customers are going to expect it, and the CTO or CIO's job is to put the infrastructure in place to enable that when it comes, or if it's coming, to run forward. So when you start this journey, you don't know. And even what you guys are creating right now didn't exist like before you created it. It doesn't exist. There was a question, there's other tools. Yeah, there's a lot of tools. None of them existed until 6 months ago. Some are good, some are bad. What's interesting about Frontegg is the approach that you take, the mindset of RBAC and of access management and of directory as a service, and that mindset, which lets you manage thousands of users, is the mindset that I think is needed to scale quickly with thousands of agents. And now it's not thousands of agents. Now it's tens of agents. But we all see that in 6 months, a year, there'll be a little shift, and we're going to have it's coming. It's coming big. In Rapid, we're talking about multi-agent architectures where you have one agent talking to two agents, talking through an MCP. Unmanageable, totally unmanageable without a partnership. And the CIO who hasn't tried to implement that or figure that out isn't even aware that he needs to. And I think Aviad talked about education. I think education is used, but people who don't get educated will, walk in Southside Baltimore in the wire and get educated. You know what I mean? They'll be in the game because this is a game you got to play. If you're, at least if you have a company that needs to use the internet. Which,
that wants to stay in business. Exactly. Amazing. I love that. We're enabling the game, and I think that this is why we're here. Nir, that's so insightful. I love talking to you, and thanks a lot for for trying out and playing with AgentLink. You've been doing that for a while, and we'd love to get your your insights and Aviad.
Yeah, I can't wait. Aviad, work harder. I can't wait to get my hands on these, my greedy little hands on all these features you're working on. It looks really cool.
Totally. Yeah.
Fast releases, fast work. That's what we're here for.
Hook me up, man. Hook me up. Like
exactly,
the wire, right?
Exactly. And guys, thank you so much. That's day 2. Tomorrow, another exciting thing that we're releasing. Stay tuned. I cannot wait. It's going to be a bit different than what we had yesterday and today. But not less exciting. Cool stuff for builders. That's a little bit of a sneak peek into it. And gonna see you tomorrow. Aviad, Nir, thank you so much. And join me tomorrow for AgentLink release day 3.